Hi, I'm Harold Enger from SpringGreen Lawn Care. I'm here to talk to you about two very important cultural practices, mowing and watering. Now let's talk a little bit about these because most homeowners misunderstand these practices and they do it incorrectly. Let's talk about a lawnmower. The rotary lawnmower is the most popular mower of them all. You're going to find this in 99% of all lawns. The one thing you have to do is to adjust this properly because a lot of times people don't understand the correct way to adjust a mower. Set it on your driveway. Take a ruler. From the ground to the bottom of that deck should be 2.5 to 3 inches because for the most part your mower blade runs at the bottom of that deck. So make sure you have that set up high. A lot of mowers have adjustments and have the settings 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They might have A, B, C, D, E. That doesn't necessarily mean 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is inches. That's just setting number 3, number 4. You need to measure to make sure that you've got that mower set at the right height. Now let's talk about mowing height. For the most part, the majority of grasses within the United States should be mowed high, 2.5 to 3 inches, sometimes even higher. For example, the northern turf grasses, your bluegrass, ryegrass, fine fescue, that needs to be mowed 2.5 to 3 inches from the beginning of the spring until you get into the fall. Maybe in the fall you drop it down a notch or two. For the most part you want it to be high. Now we get to our transition zone against that, again, that Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee, Missouri area where you have more of a grass called tall fescue. There you can even go 3 to 3.5 inches. It needs to be kept high throughout the growing season. You can bring it down a little bit in the fall, but from the first mowing in the spring on, you should have it high. Now we get down to the south where we have some other types of grasses. Probably the only grass that really should be mowed short is Bermuda grass. That can be cut down at about an inch, inch and a half. Zoysia, maybe 2 inches. But when you get to the centipede and St. Augustine grasses, again, those should be mowed higher. They will do a lot better. Now let's talk about the reasons why we want to mow them high. Well, think about the grass blade. The green part of that plant is up at the top. So you want to leave as much of that leaf surface available for the plant to go through the photosynthetic process. That's where it produces food. The sunlight going into the grass blade. You cut it short, there's less potential for food. So by having that plenty high, you'll get plenty of sunlight and the plant will produce lots of food. Another good reason why is that longer grass blade will shade the ground underneath, and therefore you're going to keep it cooler, and then it's going to stay moist for a longer period of time. Therefore you don't have to water as often, and that's a good thing. Now the other really good reason why you want to mow high is it's a great way to control weeds. By that longer grass blade, by shading the ground underneath, will keep that sun from hitting down to those weed seeds and causing them to germinate. So if you want to really keep your weeds under control, mow your grass high. Of course, through the normal process of mowing, you're going to get a few weeds, but you will have a lot less if you keep it mowed high. Now to show you what will happen when you scalp the lawn, we did do a little demonstration for you, and you can see in that picture of how bad the lawn looks, all the brown that shows up, and how the grass around it is nice and green still. So mow your grass high. You really have a much prettier and healthier lawn if you do so. And the most important thing, you won't have as many weeds. Let's talk about our second cultural practice, and that's watering. Now a lot of homeowners misunderstand the right way to water. Now if you're fortunate enough you have a sprinkler system, you can just set up the sprinkler system, it goes off automatically, you don't have to worry about it. Unfortunately, most people don't have it set properly, meaning they are watering it maybe 10 minutes per zone per day. That's really not enough water on a daily basis to really help in providing a good root system. All that water is staying up in the top half an inch or so of the soil, and therefore that's where all of your roots are going to grow. We would rather have you water once or twice a week, water deeply, so the roots will go down deeper into the soil to get that water. If you constantly water at the top, you're going to have roots that are at the top. So we recommend that you cut back your sprinkler system to maybe 2 or 3 times a week, but leave it on 20-30 minutes per zone. You will have to adjust it with your sprinkler system company to make sure you're not flooding any area. Now if you're like most homeowners, like me, I don't have a sprinkler system. So I have to get out the sprinkler, drag out the hose, and set up the sprinkler in different zones. How long should I leave the sprinkler in one location? Well, generally if you leave it there for about an hour, you'll get about a half to 3/4 of an inch of water down in that area. Make sure that you're picking a sprinkler that is of good quality. You don't want to get one of the little ones that just turn around in a small circle. They don't get enough water out there. But if you set up your sprinkler, leave it there for about an hour, that's going to give you plenty of water so that your lawn will the water will be pushed down into the lawn and the roots will go down and get it. You will have to move it around several times. So you might want to do the back one day, the front the other. The other problem that you have to deal with a lot nowadays is watering restrictions. Sometimes you can water only on even days or odd days depending on your address. So you need to follow those rules that are within your city or area that you live in. But by watering on that kind of a basis, you are going to have a green, nice lawn. Well, what happens if you can't water that much? Well, turf is a remarkable plant. It can go for about a month without getting any water whatsoever. Now, it's not going to stay green, but it will stay alive. And once you do get adequate moisture, either through rainfall or you're able to get out there and water, it will recover. The worst thing you can do is water your lawn, let it go for a week and a half, 2 weeks, let it all dry out, then water it again, and then go back into dormancy again. That's going to be hard on the plant because it uses up a lot of energy to come back out of dormancy. Dormancy is okay for the grass to go into. It's just a defense mechanism. It's cutting down what it doesn't need, which is that top growth. It wants to keep the heart or the crown of the plant alive. So if you're going to be watering, water consistently. If you can't, try to get at least an inch of water on your grass once a month. So today we've talked about two things. We talked about the proper way to mow a lawn and also about watering. Following these cultural practices will really produce a nice looking lawn for you. That's what we work together with you at SpringGreen to develop a good looking lawn. We look at it as a partnership. We'll do the proper fertilization, we'll take care of any kind of pest control problems, but we rely upon you to water it properly and to mow it properly. Together we can give you a nice looking lawn.